Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only podcast that, like the Cardinals roster, needs a lot of space. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
What's up, Nate?
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. Hambone, how you doing?
Doing okay. Just fine.
Yeah.
Hanging in there, living life.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other, one pant leg at a time. My Chrome needs to be relaunched to update. So it's a bit of a mixed bag over here.
Wow. Certainly that won't impact our recording at all. Not like we've had a bunch of problems with Chrome caching and whatnot. I'm sure it'll be fine, though. I like this trend now. Last week, you opened up the episode by checking your email.
Yep.
And this week, I guess you're just scanning your bar there for updates. I'm glad to see you're
staring
locked
at
in.
me. It's staring at me. It's mocking me. And I felt the need to, I guess, lash out a little bit. When I'm backed into a corner, I'm not really responsible for what's going to happen. Once that fight or flight exactly takes over. So, I guess just be on the lookout for me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Do you feel like you've been backed into enough corners that you're comfortable with your own you consider yourself a fight over flight kind of guy?
I don't know. I think I'm really racking my brain. I don't know if I've ever truly been backed. I got into a fight in high school. You know this story. I was not backed into a corner, but I did get punched in the face, so I reacted with hitting that person in the face. But have I ever been truly backed into a corner? I don't think so. But
nobody puts Benny in a corner.
Nobody puts Benny in the corner. Being a moderately large person,
sure.
I that is a good part of being a big boy is that generally people are. I don't get it too bad.
I've heard the opposite though too, where like people, if you're big, people want to fight you. I guess you're big, but you're not at that level where like you're just like.
I think I'm a big guy. I'm not like the biggest guy in every room I go into.
Sure.
I've heard that if you're like, like if you are always the biggest guy, people will mess with you. But yeah, no, luckily haven't been. We'll see. Now it's going to happen. Now that we've called this out,
I don't
know. I don't even know how to predict what's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
Well, we did start our family feud last week, of course. So I'm hopeful.
Have you ever? Do you feel like you've ever been backed into a corner?
No. Well, I purposely I never enter a room. I only exist in circular rooms, so I don't even go to a place where I could be cornered. Of course.
Yeah.
Have
we ever had a moment where have you ever really wanted to hit me? Like really legitimately?
What a good question. I don't think so, but that's not out of a lack of you, because certainly you've done some hittable shit.
Sure.
I think it's more that I don't have that in me.
You're not really you don't get angry very.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I hate that about you.
Yeah. I think probably I don't respond. I don't think I've ever been truly tested.
Yeah.
I've never had to knock on wood. The line. Doesn't matter.
Had to knock on wood.
That song's about him not, having not been tested. And so I don't think I don't think fight would be my response.
Yeah.
I really don't. Probably freeze. Probably attempt to why don't they make the whole plane out of the black box? I'm just
all right. So I have a month. I'll be back in town in a month for Christmas. I have a month to think of a way to put you to devise a scenario in which I or others put you in this place. And
I have to even notice that I've been placed in the corner too. There's a high likelihood that I have like completely unaware that I have found myself backed into a corner until I'm, being walloped.
Yeah. That's an advantage in a way, I guess.
Yeah,
really.
sure. Certainly. I will say I have I've really gotten myself prepared for the hot stove season, Hambone, by burning myself on a hot stove last night. So
Really,
I'm ready.
Oh,
for
this
it.
actually happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What? Let me guess. You didn't notice the stove was there.
I just had my hand just resting on an open flame. No, it's just a light thing, but I was through a cascade of other failures. I had to cook some burgers on the inside stove, and I got sprayed by hot oil on my hand. So I thought, wow, look at me, Heimblum. I'm really here.
Wow. You are living the podcast. You're living MLB.
I'm just out there. I'm in it. I'm out on these streets participating.
Yeah, I'm making my burgers and I burnt my fingers. Shut up, idiot.
It's tough stuff out there for us.
Okay. All right.
We're out there grinding.
I got In-N-Out the other night. It was pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, what's your In-N-Out order?
Every time, double, obviously. Yeah. And then I get fries animal style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No
Do
drink.
You think no drink?
No drink.
Just going in
I get a water.
Okay.
But I'm not.
So that's not
Mary
no
always gets a milkshake. I'm water.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So not no drink, just water.
Sorry, I do not pay for a drink. Yeah.
Heard. Mm-hmm. Flipping up the cups, reading the Bible verses on the bottom.
Obviously. Praise be.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I love In-N-Out. Haven't had it in a while. Obviously, none here in St. Louis. Rumors continue that maybe we'll get one here in St. Louis at some point. But not yet. Do you like the fries?
I like the fries when they're coated in burger sauce and caramelized onions and all the nastiness that is animal style. But plain, they're okay.
I think more things should be offered in animal style.
I mean, I feel like I'm kind of showing up in animal style every day.
Mm-hmm. When I play drums, I play them animal style.
Arguably the best drummer of all time.
I think so.
Animal, not you. Sorry.
Right. No, of course not. Animal, Ringo, Meg White. 3 best drummers.
Yeah. I was going to say Guy Ritchie, but that's a movie director. Is it Buddy Guy?
Probably. For someone who plays the drums, I'm not very up on my famous drummer stuff. Neil Peart. Right?
Neil Peart, he's dead. Rip.
Yep. Rip. R.I.P. to a real one. Wow. All right, you want to talk about the Cardinals before our feud escalates even more?
Well, I guess just to escalate our feud a little bit more, I think the beard still looks bad.
Shut up.
It's just a bad beard.
I disagree fully. I think it's a great beard. I think it makes me look distinguished.
Everyone is shocked to hear you say that. That is a stunning revelation that you like the beard.
I think it's quite perfect, in fact. But while I think it's perfect, it's probably this might be the last you see of it. I've been thinking about going back.
Yeah, I mean, also like in the Cardinals podcast sphere, like, did you see Jake's beard recently when he did that episode with the deal in the card? I mean, that's a beard.
Shut up. All right,
now
you're roping in Jake into the feud too.
I'm just saying, your beard shit.
No, disagree. Mine's better than his.
Okay,
you're stupid. He's stupid. Everybody's stupid. Why don't they make the whole plane out of the black box?
Okay,
leave me alone.
You're really trumping on the episode this day.
Well, like I said in the Birds Court, I'm like a hotter Pam. So we've got that. I've got that going for myself too.
Okay, let's start the episode. I'm over it now.
Just don't go in your backyard. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Well, the Cardinals are here in the off season. There are moves being made around the league. The Cardinals have made some roster moves. We await we're still waiting for a big move. But I think we have enough news coming out that certainly this is going to be an active off season. Why don't we just start with some of the things that we've been learning over the last week? What have you got for us, Hambone?
Yeah, I guess the thing that I'm most excited about is that the This was reported by Derek Gould earlier this week. The Cardinals have made it pretty clear that their plan is for JJ Wetherholt to be in the opening day lineup for 2025, likely, or 2026. I'm so sorry. Likely at third base. Obviously, that would require multiple infielders being traded, but they're looking to create roster space through trades rather than non-tendering arbitration eligible players. Easy for me to say. So obviously, for that to happen, that means that Nolan Arenado and our buddy Brendan Donovan are on their way out. But the fact that the Cardinals are kind of telegraphing this early, like, go back to last episode, what we were talking about. Like, if this was John Mozeliak and company telegraphing their intentions to have JJ Wetherholt start at third base in spring training or just in the season, I think my skeptical hat would be on. I would take this hat off.
Yeah.
I'd go find, I think it's I'd go find it. Put it on, walk back upstairs, hop back on the pod with you.
Dude, I know I'm always in it. I'm always in for a real challenging time when Ben's wearing his skeptical hat.
So, I'm not, as you can see, I'm sitting right here. I'm not looking for another hat. I'm just wearing the hat that I'm wearing. My skeptical hat is not on. So I think it's kind of interesting, and it's like I'm kind of just taking Chaim Bloom at his word at this point, and the organization, because we have no reason not to think he's going to do the things he's saying he's going to do until he starts, to fail.
Right. Well, and
what
leverage does he gain by sharing this information?
Right. The entire industry knows that he wants to move Nolan Arenado. Yeah. And people are obviously banging down his door to get Brendan Donovan. So, yeah, I don't think that anything has changed by this.
Yeah, and there's no reason, there's not really a reason to share it other than just transparency and maybe building some hype for the fan base. And there's no really reason not to, because like you said, everyone knows this already. Well, everyone knows he wants to trade these guys. What we didn't know is that they're planning on having JJ Wetherholt break camp with the team. Right. So this is news. And so if you think about that equation, it certainly just seems to build excitement. And that's cool. And like you said, I have no reason to believe him, take him for anything other than his word. So I think it's very, very exciting. I think they would have been justified to say, we're going to see how spring training goes and et cetera, et cetera. But I think pretty much everyone agrees that JJ Wetherholt did enough in 2025 to prove that he's ready for the next step. Does it mean he's going to be right out of the gates successful? No, of course not. But I don't know what else he could have done at the minor league level than what he did to prove that he's ready for the next step. So I'm very excited.
I'm really struggling. I keep wanting to put an A in Wetherholt, and there's no A. It's Weth. But every time I want to look him up,
Wetherholt.
It's bugging me. I want to put an A there.
Wetherholt.
But that's not
Wetherholt.
That's not the A I was talking about.
Wetherholta.
But you look at all of the numbers. We talked about them quite a bit over the season. Numbers. I have his prospect savant page sitting in front of me right now, and every single thing, the only things that you could really ding him on, he has above average exit velocity, above average slug, batting average, xwOBA, speed, barrels. He doesn't strike out a lot. He doesn't chase a lot. Yeah. He walks a good amount. It's all really good. Everything he did last year, the only things that they're really dinging him on is his overall swing percentage. He maybe swings, some people might think he doesn't swing enough. But I don't think I agree with that. I think we're going to be fine. I think it's like a very translatable skill set. I think the fact that the speed fully came back, I think is exciting. And the power, the fact that his average exit velocity in AAA was 86th percentile, almost 92 miles per hour average exit velo. You would take that on any major leaguer. That would be among the leaders for the Cardinals last year. Not the leader, but among the leaders. And you look at, he absolutely destroyed fastballs. He had a 4.11 xwOBA against fastballs in AAA last year. And he, just looking at the numbers, even his worst pitch was a changeup, and he still had a 242 xwOBA on changeups last year in AAA, which isn't amazing, but for that being the pitch that you're the worst at, that is that will carry. We will have a good time with that.
Yeah. I mean, all that adds up to, I think, the reasonable belief that he is a high floor player. He's certainly going to transfer some of these skills to MLB, and it probably won't take too long. Those things like plate approach and things like that typically translate. And then the question is, how high is the ceiling? And will that be something we find out quickly? Or will he go the path of most prospects, even high-end ones, where it takes a year or two for the power to develop and the whole game to come around? But certainly, when you're looking for boxes to be checked at the minor league level, they're all there. And we haven't really seen that from a Cardinal prospect in quite a while, where they're being promoted at this point where you're like, they're fully cooked, you know?
I mean, the fact that he had such a successful college run, came into the major leagues, like I am prospect shy now. Like I know, like Kyle Reese would be, and maybe is worried that he's not really struggled, but he has made adjustments. Like he has adjusted his mental process and his swing process, which he's talked about with The Athletic and Derek Gould and Katie Wu and all those people. And he hasn't really struggled for any long period of time, but everyone talks about his maturity, and I'm kind of ready to fall in love again, Nate.
Yeah, well, I wonder if the Cardinals are like, well, potential rookie of the year candidate sort of thing. Let's just get him out there and get as much of him as we can out of 2026, because if he wins it, they obviously lose a year of service time, but the Cardinals get a pick from that. And so I know I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but this is the type of guy that, you know, he's certainly, I as we get into 2026 and the various prognosticators come out, I suspect that he'll be considered a candidate for it. A front runner, if, you know.
Absolutely. I also think like, oh, sorry. I was going to totally change. Yeah.
Just that like the Cardinals, like, well, he's ready. Let's get him out here.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it like that, it's obvious, right?
Come on. I see you putting on your skeptical hat out there. Your giant, wacky skeptical hat.
Another thing I want to say about JJ Wetherholt and like,
shut up.
We had Nolan Gorman. We have Jordan Walker. I remember Jordan Walker's name.
Who?
Guys with huge power, lots of strikeouts. And so far, that has not translated to the big leagues. But I'm just going to compare JJ Wetherholt and Ivan Herrera. Much better plate approach, much more balanced plate approach, less strikeouts. And we saw that translate to the big leagues pretty quickly. JJ Wetherholt has even better command of the strike zone and better bat-to-ball contact skills than Ivan Herrera. And I would argue that Ivan Herrera is the best hitter on the team right now. So I'm not saying that, but trying to keep the excitement going and not trying to be Mr. Pessimistic about JJ Wetherholt. Like there
it's
are
a totally different hat.
Exactly. Totally different hat. I don't even have that hat. But yeah, I'm excited, Nate. I want to watch this guy play baseball.
Well, and it's fun. It'll give us something to look forward to on day one of 2026. And the idea of the win Wetherholt, probably left side of the infield, as something that we'll be watching for at least
early playing second base for sure.
Yeah. Something that we'll be watching for a while. And I'm excited to get that era started as quickly as possible.
So who is your second baseman in that scenario where all the things that have happened to put JJ Wetherholt at third base? Are you Sajacy? Are you Fermin? Are you somebody else? Jimmy Crooks? Anybody can play second base, really.
Yeah, Crooks would be funny. We got to get a catcher out there. I do like that.
Have to.
You know, can Herrera play second? Do you have to trade all of the other guys to make this happen, or you just really need to trade Arenado and one of Donovan and Gorman?
Right? I think you have to trade Donovan to get JJ Wetherholt up.
Yeah. Because you could see, so assuming Arenado is gone, and okay, let's say they trade Donovan. Are we running it back with Gorman at second base? One more shot at it, you know?
I don't know.
Because if it's not that, then I think Sajaci is likely the answer.
I think it's confusing to me because it also, we'll talk about this, or maybe we just talk about it right now. The Cardinals are also expecting to entertain trade offers on Lars Nootbaar, who was in heavy demand at the deadline. Obviously, he had that double heel surgery.
Deformity.
He had the Nootbaar deformity or whatever we were calling
Haglund's deformity.
Haglund's, there we go. But still, several teams are searching for outfield help, and a market could develop for Lars, especially as his recovery progresses. I assume teams will be asking the Cardinals for medicals like once a week at this point. And the Cardinals have made it clear that they are trying to keep Alec Burleson and Ivan Herrera out of all of these players, and are more than happy to field calls on Gorman and Pages. So that is kind of the thought process. But you think about that, if Alec Burleson is stuck out in left field, you don't have a Lars Nootbaar. JJ Wetherholt is at third base. Mason Wynn is at shortstop, of course. Second base is Sajaci Fermin. Gorman, if he's still here. And first base is
Wilson.
If
he's still here.
Yeah.
If not, Burleson is at first, right?
You'd have to imagine that he is your. I would imagine that is who the Cardinals want to have at first base.
Yeah.
And no slight to Wilson. Yeah.
Yeah. DH is Herrera, Gorman, maybe. We reacquire Luke and Baker.
I mean, the Cardinals, depending on how they're going to treat Ivan Herrera, you would think that it would make a lot of sense to have Ivan DHing the days he's not catching, Jimmy Crooks catching, and then, maybe a third catcher on the roster, although hopefully not.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Brendan Donovan was the emergency catcher. If he's gone, you got to have that spot filled, or maybe you just have another full-time catcher somewhere. But I imagine the Cardinals do want to get back to a world of not an everyday DH, right? That is just not how any team truly wants to be built.
Unless you have Shohei Ohtani.
Exactly. So you have Ivan there half the time, or maybe even less, depending on how that all works out, or more, depending on how that all works out. And then it's just everything else is just rotating to give guys days off of defense.
Yeah, that would be ideal. The Cardinals are telling agents that they plan to make trades to clear salary before shopping for free agents. They want to give Arenado and Sonny Gray clarity quickly, viewing it as a courtesy. That makes sense to me. Not surprised to hear that. I also think that that's just good for our sanity and for the Cardinals offseason. We've talked about Sonny Gray's value quite a bit. Moving Arenado is going to be tricky. If they can get that done quick, I'll be impressed. I really don't know what to expect with this trade other than the Cardinals subsidizing the cost. But I'm expecting to essentially get nothing really in return other than a salary dump. And I think the big question is who wants a Nolan Arenado?
Yeah, and there's third baseman on the market. There's probably it depends on how you value him. Last year he was under 1 WAR, so most teams are going to have an internal option that can achieve that over a year. So you really got to find a team that not only needs a third baseman, but also either has truly no internal depth or believes in the potential bounce back of Nolan Arenado, which is maybe a reasonable bounce back. I think we'd all actually be pretty happy to see Nolan Arenado go somewhere else.
My favorite non-Cardinal story of the year. Yeah. Absolutely.
It certainly it's been a while now since he's been good. So it's getting further and further away from being a likelihood. But I don't know. Maybe there's a team out there that has the right sauce that'll make it work for him. The right ballpark,
I really think it's Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia
Yeah.
makes the most sense. I think that Alec Boehm is not great. I think that he is not a good defender. And you're basically going with somebody who has like high variability to still one of the best third base defenders in baseball. And I think that ballpark helps Nato out a lot. They have a pretty short left field porch. He could pull the ball all day over there. And he'd be with the boys, which
you gotta be with the boys.
They also have enough of an offensive force around him that if Nato is running a 100 WRC plus or slightly lower, it's probably not the end of the world.
Yeah, though, if they don't get Schwarber back, that is a pretty big hole.
I think they're getting Schwarber back. I would bet money that they're getting Schwarber back.
I think that they will too, but Harper's getting older, Turner's getting older. They may say now is not the time to add yet another guy in his approaching mid-30s.
But what does Dave Dombrowski do? He doesn't set your team up for the future. He sets you up to win right now and damn the future.
Fair. That's fair. So I, like you said, though, to bring it back, not particularly excited about the return, but we'll be happy to maybe have the opportunity to close the book on this conversation for the last time. And Sonny Gray, I am excited, very excited about the potential return. And less excited about what that means for the Cardinals starting rotation in 2026. Like the nice thing about the Arenado trade is it's like, oh, that equips us to do that JJ Wetherholt improvement. Like we're now improving things on both sides. Trading Sonny Gray, you're like, okay, all right, we get some starters. But there is, talk that the Cardinals are prioritizing that as well. So I think if they get Sonny Gray out first, it might be a while before we have a full understanding of what the actual starting rotation is going to look like. That's okay.
It seems, we talked about this last week. It seems very likely that the Cardinals are going to, and we'll talk about Brendan Donovan a little bit later, but when they move Donovan, when they move Gray, or if they go the free agency route, a somewhat young, somewhat controllable starting pitcher is going to come into the organization in some way. That's going to happen. They are not going to be anywhere near Sonny Gray's quality,
of course,
but they should be better than Andre Palante. And I won't dunk on Kyle Leahy right now. Maybe Kyle's going to be good.
Could be. I mean, he certainly had success in 2025. Some of it seemed to be a lot of luck, especially there was a run there where he was getting very lucky. But he also did start making adjustments, and
he did. He turned it around. He sold me. Yeah.
So him as a starter, we'll see. But I think it makes sense to give him a shot, especially if so many opportunities. I think it makes sense. Let's talk about Brendan Donovan. I know we've been talking about him all off season, but we're starting to get even more clarity and certainty that a lot of teams are interested in him. How you feeling about this one?
The Kansas City Royals, Guardians, and Astros have all been connected to Donovan so far. Chandler Rome just wrote an article at the Athletic. Was it today or yesterday? Talking about why it makes so much sense. Even with their infield stacked as the way it is, the Cardinals believe they can get 2 years of control for an established everyday player in return, and interested teams are offering major league ready starters with control. The Cardinals want to add a starter with upside, not just rising prospects is kind of the way that the story's going there. And I think it's very realistic to get hopefully a team that has too much starting pitching, find a trade with them. I would say the Royals, really full, without saying any names specifically, making a trade with the Royals, Guardians, and Astros for pitching, just generally on board with that. Those teams all develop pitching. They have pitching right now that they can move. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I wonder if some of the Cardinals' connection with the Guardians, some of the hiring may also um, lead to some like preferences. Some of those guys that they'd worked with in the past. Um, but all this, my ultimate takeaway from these articles and this discussion about what the Cardinals are looking for and that there's multiple teams is at this point, I'd be very surprised if he is not traded. Yeah. It seems almost certain. They're getting a lot of interest. They're engaged in active conversations. Somebody is going to pay the proper value, and he's going to be traded.
Yeah, he is a kind of a dream player to trade for. You can pop him in most places. He is a lefty bat that gets on base and has all of the clubhouse leadership, soft skill, all of that stuff like tenfold. He'd be an easy guy to bring into any clubhouse in the league, and you can plug him in almost anywhere. And he gets on base. For the Royals, I think it makes a ton of sense. I feel like they've been struggling to get their top of the order guy in front of Bobby Witt for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. And with Pasquatch making his kind of jump forward that he made last year, I think that would be a lot of fun. I also, who do you like out of the Royals prospect group or the, Noah Cameron is somebody that I think has been talked about. Really, I'd be happy to take any arm that they would be willing to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Guardians, we talked about Tanner Bybee in the Birds Court a little bit. I think that's a potential
Bybee,
one.
Is that realistic? I feel like Bybee is too...
It might be.
Too pie in the sky. I don't know, though.
It might be. I think I pitched that as a potential match, and it might be too good. I think you'd be hoping that the Guardians, he had a mid last year, and they're always developing pitching. He has 4 years of control, which is a lot, but he also doesn't project to be like a high end guy. So they may think, well, this is a good piece to move, and the Cardinals say like, well, we're not getting like a top of the line starter, but we're getting a guy that plugs into the middle of the rotation. It's probably too much, but also, why does the trade have to be 1-for-1?
That's true.
There could be other pieces involved here. That would be interesting. What do you get when you pair a Brendan Donovan and a Lars Nootbaar or Nolan Gorman? Here's some floor and here's some upside. Now give us one of your better starters. Like there's something that could be done there.
Yeah, there's talk of the Guardians moving Steven Kwan. If they move Steven Kwan to go get whatever they feel that they need and then trade with the Cardinals to get Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar, you put Newt out in left, you give Donovan, I don't know, probably second base there, I guess, or maybe he has the other outfield corner. I don't know what you would do with him. And then you can get somebody like Tanner Bybee or I don't know. Yeah, I like Slade Ciccone a lot. What do you think of him?
Yeah, definitely less proven, but I think would have more control. And maybe more upside. I'd have to look a little more into him. Bybee
like
had 2 years of 3 WAR. Yeah.
Right. I really like Ciccone's stuff. I think that he is going to be somebody who like really jumps up in strikeouts next year or very soon. I guess, obviously we'll see. He's got a better fastball than Bybee. But, we'll see. He came up and was really good and then kind of got knocked around and then had that really great performance in the playoffs. So, we'll see. He's very unproven. He has 150 innings in the big leagues right now.
Yeah. I like the name Slade.
Slade's a that obviously a cool guy.
It's did you know? Here's a fun fact for you. Slade is a DC character and was the inspiration for Deadpool over in Marvel. Wade.
Wow. That's so
dope.
That?
You love this shit. You know you do. You're playing cool guy right now, but I know you love this shit. You've seen all the Marvels. You've watched all of them.
I think we've talked about this. I'm off the Marvel.
You love the Marvels.
Okay.
You're a big Marvel guy. Right behind him, everyone who's not on the YouTube, he's got a full-on Ryan Reynolds poster behind him. And he's like holding up a little Deadpool statue because Ben loves Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. So he has a poster of these two things together. So these are all true things that Ben has and loves the Marvels.
All right. Anything
I'm
else
way
you want to say
behind on
about
Marvel movie.
Brendan Donovan?
I'm way no. We've talked about him enough this offseason. I hate to see him go, but I love to watch him walk away, if you know what I mean.
I don't.
I will like the return that we get for him when he walks away.
I see. Let's talk about some players that will be sticking around with the Cardinals for hopefully a lot longer than anybody that we've been talking about. The Cardinals have officially added prospects Leonardo Bernal, Joshua Baez, Cooper Jerpy, and Bryson Motts to their 40-man roster to protect them from the December 10th Rule 5 draft. I think noticeably, Blaze Jordan was left unprotected out of those gentlemen, and they also DFA'd Mr. Jorge Alcalá, who we talked about probably a disproportionate amount last season for how much he was on the. I think he ended up throwing 11 pitches in his entire Cardinals.
Well, we do
innings.
A weekly show, Hambone. You got to talk about something, okay? And that's spin rate, though. You know what I'm saying?
That spin rate. He's got that breaking ball. But I think the more interesting thing out of all of this is that Blaze Jordan was left unprotected. Obviously, we all kind of made a lot out of Blaze Jordan coming over in the deal with the Red Sox for Steven Matz. I think we're putting a lot on Chaim Bloom and his drafting of him and everything like that. But for him to go unprotected is interesting. It's also worth noting that over 41 games with the Cardinals AAA team, he put up a 53 WRC plus.
Rough.
He doinked some dongs. He hit 7 home runs in that time. Now that I'm really looking at his stat line, it is kind of bizarre. He only walked 5% of the time, only struck out 12% of the time. But he had a 185 BABIP and, like I said, a 53 WRC plus. Just a weird stat line for a guy who is clearly power forward. I don't know what to say about that, but it's interesting.
Well, so he could be. He's eligible for Rule 5 draft then, meaning another team could grab him. But if I still understand the rules correctly, and sometimes I get some of these Rule 5 things a little mixed up, but like a team to grab him would have to keep him on their MLB roster for the entirety of 2026 in order to retain him going forward after that.
That's right.
And so I could see a world where the Cardinals are gambling that like this is not the type of player that you typically want to just ride on your MLB roster for a full year. You can hide, and the Cardinals have done this. You can hide a reliever, and you say, "We think this guy has some upside. We'll throw him out there. We'll start him at low leverage, and we'll ramp him up, and we'll make a decision as the season goes along." But if you're committing a full bench spot to a guy that looks like potentially could have some problems adjusting to the major league level, you might not want to run the risk of that guy being on your team. And so then, because you have to, or you lose the whole thing. So maybe they think, no one's going to run the risk. They're not going to take Blaze Jordan over some of the other options that might be available on the Rule 5. We don't need to protect him.
Yeah, I think
that's
it's
my
lack
best guess.
Of positional flexibility. I think it's more just, I think the confounding thing is, those are a bad 40 games in a Cardinals uniform. And this is a guy that you think the organization would feel like they know pretty well, or at least have a pretty good read on. And I think you're probably right. There are way better names out there with more positional flexibility and who didn't have a shitty 40. Nate almost just stabbed his eye out with a straw. Oh, good thing you got those glasses on, my guy.
Scared myself. I'm looking at Ben in the screen, and I grab my drink and I hit myself with the
those straws will just jump right at you. Yeah, you never know, man.
Who put that there? Who put that there?
Oh God, what was I saying? All I was going to say is that Blaze Jordan would probably be like the third best, or no, like the fifth best hitter on the Chicago White Sox. But you're probably right. Probably nobody takes him.
Yeah. See, that feels like quite an insult to say you're the fifth best hitter on the White Sox. Like, who's the four better? But yeah, Robert.
Who's the four better? Miguel Vargas, Colson Montgomery, Mydroth,
okay. All right.
and Robert Jr. Robert Jr.
I like their second baseman a little bit. What's his face? No, he actually played first a little bit too.
Sosa, Lennon Sosa.
Yeah, Lennon Sosa.
He hits the ball hard.
He does. So anyway, yeah, I guess we'll find out. If he gets selected or not. But then again, he has to spend the whole season on another team, or he'll come right back to us.
Yeah.
But on the guys that did get added, no surprises here, and just kind of exciting. Each of these guys, there's a reason to be excited about in their own right. I've been ringing the Joshua Baez bell all season, basically, or since early mid-season when it seemed to me the breakout was happening. And now he's on the 40-man, which knocks down one barrier to getting a shot at the majors. Leonardo Bernal, quickly rising prospect. Got to get those catchers out there. Cooper Jerpy, everyone knows that name at this point. Makes sense to protect him. Hopefully he can stay healthy. And Brian Mott's kind of a rising star. You could certainly see that's the type of guy that if he was on Rule 5 eligible, a team would take. So it makes sense to protect him.
I think the same with Jerpy. Even though he was injured all last season, you could hide that guy in your bullpen and just, maybe he won't even be, healthy by the time the season comes around, or you could kind of fudge it a little bit to kind of protect him. But yeah, I think the pitchers make sense for sure. Baez, I think a team talk about the White Sox, or a team would definitely take a chance on Baez, especially with what he did last year and the tool set that he is. But yeah, I think no other real surprises. I'm very excited.
If there's enough
Baez.
space cleared, if there's enough space cleared from this offseason, and the type of guys that the Cardinals get in return are not MLB replacement, like they're not, they didn't trade for a new starting right fielder or a new starting left fielder or whatever. I think there's a legitimate chance that we see Baez, probably not out of camp, but early 2026, getting reps at the major league level.
Baez for Baez to crack the big league roster, you're talking you have to trade Donovan, Arenado, Contreras, and Nootbaar. I think
four of those five are actively being trying to trade them.
I agree.
And we just don't know about Contreras,
right.
But I have to imagine there's going to be a market developing for Contreras. It'll just be
I would think so
decision
too.
on what they want to do.
I would think so too. I'm just saying those are a lot of things, a lot of chips to fall. And my God, I would kill for that type of offseason where the Cardinals really make a choice and make 4 or 5 big trades to make room for players like Joshua Baez or whoever else, and go get pitching from moving those assets. I would love it. I would be over the moon if that happened. But we don't know.
We don't know. How aggressive is Heimblum going to be?
Heimblum should bring in AJ Preller for one off season. Get it done.
Yeah, sure. Can we trade for AJ Preller? Like, our first move is to trade for AJ Preller, and then he goes and does all this other stuff.
Yeah, he's a maniac. He can do it.
Mm-hmm. It's like every season they have yet another top 3 prospect that they're able to trade for another major piece.
Yeah, they are fun.
Yeah. All right. What else you want to talk about?
I think I got just one other note, and this isn't really anything to do with the Cardinals anymore, I guess, but something that I thought was interesting, and it's related to a former Cardinal. So it was I was reading a report. I think this was by Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic this week, and it's about Phil Maton and about how he thought that weirdly the late signing with the Cardinals helped him in a particular way. And I'm just going to read a little section of it. But he says that since Maton didn't have much of a full spring training to build a rapport with Cardinals catchers, he started calling his own pitches via PitchCom for the first time and ended up having, obviously, a terrific season. Over 61 and a third innings, Maton had a career best ERA with a 32.5% strikeout rate, his highest figure since the shortened 2020 season. And I just thought that was interesting. That I don't think we obviously talked about Phil Maton's success quite a bit, about him being a spin daddy, about both of his pitches being plus pitches, like kind of secretly, but kind of a funny little hidden thing. And I don't think this is throwing shade at Cardinals catchers or anything like that, but the pitcher knows his pitches, and the fact that he was in charge and then also had a great season, I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Is that a Phil Maton specific thing? And just he's a veteran pitcher, and he has not maybe been able to communicate also back to the catching staff, like what's working and what's not working, and he just rather own it himself. Is it something with the Cardinal catchers? Probably not Cardinal specific, but just that like late spring thing. I don't know. It's very interesting. I'd be interested to know what. I don't think that's the norm, but is it abnormal for relievers and short inning guys and veterans like this to have complete control over it?
Yeah, I know, like, there's a good number of starters that are doing this now. And, a lot of these guys were called out or not called out, but it was kind of displayed in the postseason. And it makes sense. I was actually, total divergence of what we're talking about right now. I was just watching a video on MLB's website where Greg Maddux was talking about the last 2 years of his career. He would call the pitches. Obviously, they didn't have PitchCom at this point, but by doing certain things with his glove, scratching certain parts of his face, poking certain parts of his nose, that kind of stuff, he would call pitches, and nobody picked up on it. Nobody figured out he was tipping pitches, but he would call his own game.
I'm just imagining this.
And then he said that the last season of his career, he just told the catcher if it was going to be inside or outside, and that was it. And he would do everything else. But I think it's interesting. Pitchers are funny. And I think a lot of things probably led to Phil Maton's career year. But a fun little data point.
From just a game standpoint, like we're playing a game on the field, I think that's the most exciting version of this. The most interesting version of this is, and it's what's often like romanticized in baseball media, baseball movies in particular, of like, it's the one-on-one, the pitcher and the hitter, and it's an active game of chess or cat and mouse or whatever it might be. And the more modern game is that it's like a group decision. Every pitch is ultimately the conclusion of a group decision around trends and whatnot. And there's an analytical part of me, and I think a lot of people like ourselves who are interested in baseball and the underlying metrics and data also kind of love that idea of it, that this is a science as much as it is a like a performance outcome. But I can't help but love the idea of it. All that is stripped away. With all that, it's Phil Maton certainly has a scouting report, so he knows that himself, and those decisions are guided by that stuff. But it's also like a feel thing, and like you're staring at the guy, and what is he? You have a better lens on the guy than the catcher does, so you're picking up little quirks and making the call. And I don't know. I've always liked that about pitching and the game of baseball, and I think there's space for both. But I do hope that like that is something that stays.
Yeah, it's obviously not everyone can do that. Not everybody's Greg Maddux, or I guess to a lesser extent Phil Maton. But yeah, it's fascinating. I know Chris Bassett does it. There's I do like that kind of pitcher that is they get the kind of silly nickname of like the professor, or stuff like that. Like I guess that's specific to Maddux, but they it is
often
these
painted. Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing. Like I think that is part of the root of why baseball is off. It's like, it's the thinking man's game, right?
Because then I always think about, like, are they smart or are they baseball smart?
No, because watch a single interview with half these guys, and you know, I throw a ball hard and guy hit with stick, you know, but I threw a ball better than guy with stick. So, well, look at me now, you know. But it's intelligence in the realm in which it's important for them to be intelligent. So for sure. But like a broader definition of intelligence, I don't know. I mean, how do you even do that? But I don't think it's like general intelligence.
Yeah, it's interesting. All right, I think that's all I got, Nate.
Okay. Well, we're going to check in on some league news and, of course, play a little game. But before we get to that, we want to remind everybody that this show is listener supported by listeners just like you. Hey, it's the holidays. Are you in the holiday spirit? Want to support a local product that's pumping out content every week for you? Consider joining the Patreon at patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of every level get access to the Bird Scored. That is our private chat group. That is a great place to hang and to keep up to date with Cardinals news. Again, we're posting as the hot stove continues to burn my poor little fingies. This is a great place to get it boiled down and relevant to what you're into and what we're talking about on this show. So get in there, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. You also get episodes typically a little bit early, which can be nice. And we also appreciate everybody leaving a review on their favorite podcast platform. It really helps, and telling their friends and family. We got a holiday coming up, Hambo. Next week, we'll talk about the upcoming holiday. I assume you hate it for some reason. But where can people where else can people find us online?
I do think Thanksgiving is kind of trash, but that's not
of course
for here
you
now.
do. Yeah.
We're on all the Instas and the socials and the blue skies. You can check us out there. We have a TikTok. Come and TikTok along with us. You can watch this episode on YouTube and watch Nate almost stab one of his little eyeballs out with a metal
Actually,
straw.
it's a rubber tip, so it would have been.
Thank God.
It's not too bad.
Thank God. You can find T-shirts. Talk about Christmas, upcoming holidays.
There you go.
T-shirts and all the podcast information at talkingaboutbirds.com. You could email us, of course, at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And as always, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737.
All right, Hambo, and let's get into some league news. We got, the Cardinals, they're still getting ready. They're still talking. They're still shopping. But some teams, they're already making moves.
Offseason is here, baby. We're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, some interesting ones.
Absolutely. I think the most interesting deal so far, we were talking about this in the Bird Scored this morning, is the Orioles have traded Grayson Rodriguez to the Angels for Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward, I believe he only has 1 year remaining of control. Grayson Rodriguez, I believe, has 2 years of control.
More than that, I believe.
Is it more than that?
I will look it up while you explain the deal a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure it's more than that.
Yeah, I think the most fascinating thing about this is that I kind of viewed Grayson Rodriguez was arguably the most important person on the Orioles team the last 2 years. He is the only pitcher that really had any upside whatsoever. He kind of broke out a little bit in the first half of 2024 before he got injured, but he was striking people out. He was starting games regularly. He was going deep in those games. Then he went hurt. He did not pitch a single pitch last year. And the Orioles traded him for a guy who I don't really love all that much, Nate. I think that Taylor Ward is a power-hitting right-handed bat, which is great. We love a power-hitting right-handed bat. He is not a great outfielder. He is not particularly quick. He is not very patient. And his power isn't like, we're not talking Kyle Schwarber or anything here. He can doink some dongs for sure. But he's kind of a slightly above average player. I think that the Orioles also already have arguably too many outfielders. So I don't really understand the move. Obviously, it's not like the Orioles offseason is just done with this one move. You would think that many more moves are to come. They've also telegraphed that they are going to want to bring in at least one higher end starting pitcher. But I don't think like what does Taylor Ward do for you that Tyler O'Neill doesn't do? Or I don't who else?
Well, their outfield has diminished some. So I to give you an update, he is a free agent after 2030. He has 4 years of control, Grayson Rodriguez.
Wow, that's insane.
They traded 4 years of Grayson Rodriguez for 1 year of Taylor Ward. The only way this makes sense to me is if the Orioles have made a determination about his underlying medicals that that maybe the Angels don't agree with, or something like that, or they know something that the Angels don't know at all. Because otherwise, I don't think this trade makes any sense.
I mean, even if he's down another entire year,
yeah, that's what he has to basically never pitch again for this to make sense. And then you say, all right, that's actually a pretty good return. But I wonder what the medicals say, and if this was they were like, we're trading him no matter what. We'll see who bites. And the Angels are stupid, so they did bite, Yeah. And maybe because I would think that if you were actively shopping Grayson Rodriguez as he is, he should have netted a huge return. So why did the Orioles get what they got? Why did the Angels give what they gave to get him? It doesn't make a lot of sense unless there's something deeply concerning from a medical standpoint, or the Orioles are just bad and they don't make the best decisions, but that's usually seemingly driven by ownership and like who they bring in. The actual like game management, they've been okay. So it's kind of surprising. Now that said, Taylor Ward, I think I agree with you generally, but I think you're not giving him fully enough credit. Like their outfield is different now. They lost Cedric Mullins, they lost Ramon Laureano. They have Dylan Beavers, who looks pretty good, but he's young. And then they have Tyler O'Neill, who we all love the guy, but the story that's always been the case for him is still the story for him. He's just not on the field. And so Taylor Ward does play, and Taylor Ward is like the version of the streaky guy. He'll go a month and he'll hit like 10 bombs and hit 300, and then he'll go a month hitting 220 with nothing, But at the end of the season, it looks pretty good, or at least from a power standpoint and all of that. So I do think he makes them offensively better. You can way more gamble on Taylor Ward being a productive outfielder for them than basically any of their other guys. But is that worth 4 years of Grayson Rodriguez? I don't think so.
He's going to be 32.
Yeah.
I like Heston Kierstad. I would much rather put him out above Taylor Ward. And I think a combination of Colton Cowser, Dylan Beavers, Heston Kierstad, Tyler O'Neill, I just don't think you need Taylor Ward. I think that they need other types of players.
Kierstad coming off of a negative 1.1 F4 season, though, so you can see why they would want, if they're trying to go for it in 2026. And
I get that, but everything went wrong for the Orioles last year. And maybe Kierstad is cooked. Maybe Rodriguez is cooked. Maybe all these guys are, they do need to move on. I just find it hard to believe.
Yeah. Well, and again, I started this whole thing saying this trade doesn't make any sense. I just think like, in a vacuum of 2026, Taylor Ward could be very good for the Orioles, and that might be okay. But if Grayson Rodriguez is not critically injured, then they have basically got nothing for a potential front end starter that normally would net you a significant return.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. It'll fully rest on the shoulders of if Grayson Rodriguez is a baseball player.
Yeah.
All right. Another big hot stovey deal is that Josh Naylor has been retained by your Seattle Mariners. Brought back Josh on a 5-year deal. It's reported to be worth $92.5 million. I think that's around what is like 17 or 18 million per year. I'm a big Josh Naylor fan. I think that he's very fun to watch. He stole 30 bases last year. Obviously went to the Mariners, became a fan favorite almost immediately. And I don't know if you watched the presser or not, Nate, but he said that part of the deciding factor was his love of the clubhouse dog in Seattle named Tucker. And he said that is really the love from the fans, the team and everything like that. But he said
$100 million.
The Tucker is the one that really pushed it over the edge.
I bet it was almost $100 million that really sealed the deal on this whole thing. But
I believe Josh Naylor.
Yeah, he seems like a fun guy, and you like to see a team trade for a guy, make a deep playoff run, and like keep the core together that did that. So it's fun. I'm not surprised at all. I don't think it'll be interesting to see how this ages long term. This is like the worst place to hit in baseball. Yeah. So at least he's locked up the bag and whatnot. But I wonder how that power is going to mature there on a full season.
He's not really a traditional power hitter, though.
I know, but what does his final season stat line look like if he ends up hitting 14 home runs in a season? You know what I mean?
I think he is a 20 home run, close to 300 hitter that can also steal 30 bases every
apparently
year.
Yeah,
for sure. I think he is a on base machine. I think that'll continue to happen. It'll be buoyed by his batting average. But I don't know. I also might be. He's only 28. How about let's start there. He's still young. So they're getting him through the prime of his career. Maybe we see a dip down. But I think it makes a lot of sense for their lineup. I think he is the type of player that you want to root for and is good for Seattle fans.
Yeah.
And I bet he puts up 3 WAR. He averages 3 WAR-ish for the next 3 or 4 seasons, and they're pretty happy with this.
Yeah, and they obviously have other types of hitters around them. Like they've struggled on offense. They have a couple core pieces, and where they've struggled is the rest of the lineup. And so it's nice to see him lock in a guy who you certainly are going to be comfortable with in the lineup. I just wonder, again, how do you feel about that total line if he's like 13 home runs, 14 home runs instead of 20, and where does that fit in? But if you got Big Dumper there hitting 60 and Julio hitting 30 plus, and Naylor's giving you a 350 plus OBP, it's a good recipe.
Yeah, I'll admit I'm a little biased. I want it to work. I want the Mariners to be good. And I think you kind of start like retaining a guy that you went out and acquired that the fans were attracted to, and that he had a good few months in a Mariners uniform is just, that's what I wish we saw that more. It's just more fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is.
That's what you want.
And
got that great Nintendo patch.
The Nintendo patch, the Switch 2 patch is what it was last year.
Did you get a Switch 2?
No, I got a Switch 1.
Yeah. I just got a OLED Steam Deck. Yeah, pretty excited.
Cool.
Looks great.
That's cool. That's great.
Thank you.
Organic light emitting diode. Right?
Wow, it's actually the first of like handheld device that I have that is OLED. It's noticeable.
Oh. Damn.
Yeah.
I think the Mariners should trade for Brendan Donovan.
I think so too, except for now he'll hit 8 home runs. And again, but they got to have guys that hit. They got to have, someone has to play there. So
you can't just punt on offense.
Yeah.
I say Brendan Donovan for George Kirby straight up. Let's go.
How about Logan Gilbert? Let's toss him in there too.
Gilly. All right. And then some more interesting news this offseason is that the qualifying offer set a record. Of course, it does. I think it does every year. Has it ever gone down? I don't know. But 4 players accepted it this offseason, and I think we can talk about each to whatever degree you feel like, Nate. But Trent Grisham is going to be a Yankee next year. Gleyber Torres is staying with the Tigers. Shoto Imanaga is going to be a Cubby. and Brandon Woodruff accepted his qualifying offer. I feel like we called the Brandon Woodruff one. That one made a lot of sense to me. We talked about that last week or the week before. And I will say, if I was Trent Grisham, I would have absolutely taken that. I don't think there's any way he gets near that kind of money on he probably gets a longer deal, but securing $22 million in 1 year is that's good for him. But Gleyber Torres and Shota Imanaga, I did not think that. I thought Gleyber Torres would really turn his season into. I thought he would go get some money. He had a really nice season. I think he kind of cemented himself a little bit. Was a very solid second baseman, very solid on base percentage guy. And, talk about ballpark factors. He was playing at a pretty difficult ballpark to hit, and I thought held his own very well.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the equation was I don't think any one of these guys got more than $22 million per year on the open market, and each of them have a case to be made that they could go and have an even better 2026 and set themselves up for a bigger long-term deal. I think for sure you're right. At least Imanaga and Torres probably could have netted. And I was arguing for it like last week or the week before, especially Imanaga. I think could have absolutely gotten more than $22 million on the open market, but it would have been spread over years and the AAV would have been below 22. So with a qualifying offer that high, I get it. Why not? Like, oh no, I have to be paid $22 million to stay with the team that I have had some success with. And each of these teams, competitive teams. So you're like, I'll stay here and make the most money I've ever made in my career in a single year. And if I have a great year and there's a 2027 season, I stand to make even more money. Imanaga is adding a year to a guy in his 30s, but still, I think it makes sense. Maybe not the choice that every guy in this situation would make, but I can understand why each of them made that choice.
If you were the New York Yankees, would you have offered Trent Grisham a $22 million QO?
Yeah, I wonder if this was a bit of a gamble. Like, I don't know how much. Maybe the reporting's out there, or there might even be rules around this. Like, how much do the teams talk to the agents and whatnot about this? Like, is there any gamesmanship from an agent of like, yeah, I don't know, maybe we'd accept it, and then they offer like, bingo, grab it immediately. Like, do they do that, or is it all?
I don't see why they can negotiate with that player. It's their player. They can negotiate with them at any time. There's no rules around that. So I would imagine so, but I'm sure we'll be corrected if we're wrong.
To the degree that it actually happens, I don't know, because you could see in that case, Trent, like the Yankees, like, well, if he's gonna get signed, then we'll get the draft pick. That's the point.
Well, it is technically a compliment to the player if you get a qualifying offer. So you could say, hey, Trent had a great season. He's going to be a free agent. We're going to tender him a qualifying offer. What do you guys think about that? I would not be surprised by that. My kind of question is, it's without a doubt, Trent Grisham had a great year last year. No one's arguing that. He really came into his own from an offensive player. The fact that he hit 34 bombs is something.
129 WRC plus. Like, it was not just, he's a good player. So I think probably the Yankees are fine with it. I think they would. It's probably one of those things where they're like, we'll offer it. If we keep him, great. Maybe he repeats. But if not, we get the draft pick out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the Woodruff thing, we know he's getting $10 million either way. He's going to be making $32 million this year for a guy that pitched like 6 innings last year. I think that's the biggest no-brainer. He's also going to be on a team that he obviously has a good relationship with and who is competitive, at least during the regular season. So, we'll see. I'm sure that will work out fantastically for the Brewers, which I hate, but at least they're, Brewers. Spending a good chunk of their small payroll on him.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the class of 2026 Hall of Fame ballot came out. I think what's the best way to should we just talk about the people who are newly on the ballot?
Sure.
And I'll just go over them really quick, and then we can talk about any names that you think are interesting. Ryan Braun will have his first year on the ballot. Sin Soo Choo Edwin Encarnacion, Gio Gonzalez, Alex Gordon, Cole Hamels, Matt Kemp, Howie Kendrick, Nick Markakis, Daniel Murphy, Hunter Pence, and Rick Porcello. What do you think of that crop, Nate?
First of all, fuck off Ryan Braun. That guy sucks. Underwhelming.
Yeah,
class.
Kind of. It's like all names, like all kind of like, I guess if you're a baseball nerd, household names.
Sure.
But no one.
I don't know that any of these guys get in.
So
what is Cole Hamels' final numbers?
Cole Hamels, I just looked it up. He's sitting at 51 and a half career F4. He's got 163 wins. Let's see, anything interesting? His career strikeout percentage was 23%.
I don't think he gets in. He doesn't have any of the hard. He was hardest path to the Hall of Fame was the one he was taking, which is no real true peak, just years of being good or very good. So he doesn't have any hardware other than World Series, which is big, but no personal hardware.
Yeah.
And that 50 F4, it's a good threshold, but most aren't getting in at that level. I don't think he gets in.
I wonder if Cole Hamels will be one of the first modern pitchers with the adjusted expectations of what a modern starting pitcher are to get some serious consideration for the Hall of Fame. So I do think that like they're throwing less innings. The starter is being devalued to a certain degree across the league. He pitched legitimately until 2019. He is a quote unquote modern MLB pitcher. Will he be looked at with a different light than pitchers of the past? Because I just don't think I think what I'm getting at is like, I think Adam Wainwright is going to get very, very serious consideration for the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's going to get in or not, but I'm wondering if this kind of player is the kind of player that, and I hate to say lowering the bar, but he was arguably one of the best pitchers from 2006 to 2019. How do we look at this now?
Well, counterpoint, I agree with you that there's going to be a reckoning on how we view pitchers. Counterpoint for Cole Hamels specifically, he has 8 seasons of 200 plus innings. Right. He was not he's pulled early, he's used effectively, the kind of thing you're talking about. Like Blake Snell is going to be one of those guys that is talked about in that regard, where it's like never really pitched more than 150, but when he's out there, he's truly elite. He's got Cy Youngs. He's like, it's the modern way to approach pitching. Cole Hamels was treated like a throwback, 200 innings plus, again, 8 seasons, almost 9. He missed it by a handful of innings in one season. And even with all that volume, he only surpassed 5 WAR one time. So I get what you're going for, but I don't know if it's Cole Hamels. And I think for someone to be viewed under that lens, it's going to have to be someone who racked up some individual achievements in those things. And unless I'm misremembering, Cole Hamels probably placed in a lot of voting, but didn't pull anything.
Yeah,
himself.
I don't think he ever won the Cy. I'm looking that up right now. Yeah, never won the Cy. He was an all-star 4 times. The only dark ink he has on Baseball Reference is that he led the league in WHIP in 2008, which, damn, he didn't even get any Cy Young votes. That was one hell of a season. But I'm curious if this will be convincing too.
He's very good.
Curious if this convinces you anymore. So I put the WAR leaderboard for Boyd for starting pitchers from 2006 to 2019, Cole Hamels' career. He also pitched in 2020, but it was like 3 innings, and who cares? But here are your leaders. Justin Verlander, number 1 with a bullet, 71.9 FWAR in that time. No doubt Hall of Famer. I think we all agree with that. Still pitching somehow. Clayton Kershaw, number 2, 64.7, no doubt Hall of Famer. Max Scherzer, no doubt Hall of Famer, 58.7 over that time period. Zach Greinke, no doubt Hall of Famer, 56.25 over that time period. And then Felix Hernandez and Cole Hamels are tied with 51.7 and 51.6 FWAR over that time period.
Yeah.
So
that's a really compelling point, because I do think the Hall is representation of your generation.
So he is number 6 and essentially tied at number 5 with Felix Hernandez. And then over that same time period, CC Sabathia is right underneath those guys with 50.5. Obviously, CC Sabathia pitched longer. But I think when you look at that 15, 20-year period of baseball, Cole Hamels was a guy.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, you don't get to 50 plus WAR without being, one of the better pitchers in baseball for an extended amount of time. Like, that's a true achievement, and I really don't mean to diminish it. And he was the one, when I saw this list, he was the only one that was like, "Ooh, maybe Cole Hamels." So it's borderline, and the point you just made is strong. I just think most of the time, a Hall of Famer has peak and longevity. Cole Hamels has longevity, but he doesn't really have any peak, and it's not for lack of opportunity, because he had ample opportunity. He pitched an absurd amount, and that's how he got to these numbers. And maybe that's Hall of Fame, but it's not the way that you're talking about, where like a new lens on pitchers, and it's not the way in which most guys get in. So I ultimately would be surprised if he does, but on the lens of, if the Hall of Fame is simply representative of exactly the generation in which they're pitching, I think there's a strong case for him, and it won't be surprising if he gets some votes. I think that's absolutely likely. And I think people just probably want to have like a guy in this entire class to rally around and be like, we don't go a full year without anybody. But I wonder how often that happens, because the writers are all cranks and annoying.
Matt Kemp, I thought he was going to be a Hall of Famer back in the day.
So there's the guy with the peak, right? But he didn't have the longevity. There's a couple guys on here who have that peak. Braun. Yeah. I mean, he's going to deal with other elements as well. But there's some good examples of longevity on here too. Nick Markakis, Hunter Pence, Sin Chu.
Murphy had a late season kind of
famous Rocky
breakout. Yeah, famous Rocky. That was a great deal. Edwin Encarnacion, no chance. Alex Gordon, no chance. Although I really like Alex Gordon. I was always a big fan of Howie Kendrick too, but no chance. Yeah. Rick Porcello, no chance. But I kind of agree. I think if I had a vote, I think I might cast a vote for Cole Hamels. I would love to see other people's arguments and see what the general consensus is. Obviously, Phillies fans would vote him in.
Yeah.
But I think of him as a very important figure during when like the Phillies had that ridiculous rotation of him and Halladay and Lee. Those were interesting times, and everybody was looking at the Phillies at those times.
Oh yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's all I got for league news, Nady.
All right, let's wrap up the episode with a little game. Hambone, this is lining up to be an eventful offseason. Maybe one of the most impactful off seasons in recent Cardinal memory. So I thought, why don't I look at some of the most impactful Cardinal off seasons in recent memory and see how much you can remember of these.
Right.
So we're going to play Who Charted Offseason Edition. I've got some essentially trivia questions about the last 25 years of Cardinal history. Just a handful of them, some of them easier than the other ones. I want to see how much you can remember. I think let's get started. Okay. In March of 2000, the Cardinals traded for Jim Edmonds. Can you name any of the pieces that the Cardinals traded away?
Man, oh man. Jim Edmonds was an Angel, I think, right? He was an Angel. And the Cardinals traded, I want to say Adam Kennedy.
That's one of them. Very good.
Adam Kennedy. Just trying to think of Angels at that time. Garrett Anderson. Who else? Darren Erstad. He was never a Cardinal. I don't think he was, at least. Darren Erstad, one of my favorite stat pages of all time. I love that guy.
Scott
also,
Spezio.
Scott Spezio. Geez, who else? No, not Dan Heron. Oh God. I think that's all I got for you. Yeah.
Kent Bottenfield.
Oh,
it was Adam Kennedy and Kent Bottenfield for Jim Edmonds.
Bottenfield was not on my radar.
Mm-hmm. This next one I think is arguably harder. In 2002, the Cardinals acquired Scott Rowland and someone else, which may be the hardest one, from the Phillies, trading away who? They traded away 3 guys for Scott Rowland, and they acquired 2. Can you remember who else they got and any of the guys they traded away?
I believe Placido Polanco went to the Phillies.
That is one of them. Yep.
That is one of them. Who else did the Cardinals get back? Definitely Scott Rowland. Remember that part. That was good. Placido and Ray King. I don't know.
It was Bud Smith.
Oh, wow.
And Mike Timlin, who they traded away. And they also got a guy named Doug Nickel.
Yeah.
Who played 20 games at the MLB level for negative 0.3 F4.
Yep. And those, God bless those 20 games.
Probably still talking about him wherever he is.
He should be. Every right to.
Yeah. All right. We'll get out of the early 2000s here shortly, but I got one more for you. In 2003, the Cardinals got Adam Wainwright and 2 other guys from Atlanta. For which 2 guys?
This one I should I think I would know this if it was any other day. It's a very famous trade.
These games are hard.
Yeah. Oh man, who did they get for Waino, or who did they trade for Waino? Was it Troy Gloss? No, it wasn't Troy Gloss. No, that's not. Who did Troy Gloss play for the Braves? Am I insane? No. Troy Gloss went to the Blue Jays, right? It doesn't matter. Adam Wainwright. God, I should know this. This is extremely frustrating that I don't have it right now. If my breakfast was different, I would have this answer. I don't know, Nate.
Troy Gloss came from Toronto to St. Louis and then went from St. Louis to Atlanta. So you had the teams correct. So Hambone, the Cardinals acquired Adam Wainwright, Ray King,
JD Drew.
Yep,
JD Drew.
Okay, Ray King and Jason Marquis in exchange for JD Drew and Eli Marrero.
I would like to point out that I said JD Drew before you said it, so I technically got that one. But that felt bad. I want to say that felt bad.
Yeah. Very famous trade involving very famous Cardinals. But I mean, look at that. 2000, 2002, 2003. Cardinals get Jim Edmonds, Scott Rowland, and Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yes. All 3 Cardinal Hall of Famers, and one a real Hall of Famer. The other 2 probably, or at least considered. Got considered.
I think Jim Edmonds is going to get in.
Yeah, I've thought that too through some sort of committee later on.
I think he'll get in.
He fits into the where my previous saying, I believe it's representation of their generation, which is an argument for Cole Hamels. I think it's a similar argument for Jim Edmonds.
Yeah.
Okay. What year did the Cardinals extend Matt Holliday?
What year did they extend Matt Holliday? So they traded him. They traded for him. Cardinals won in 06. they traded for him. Oh, shit. They traded for him in 07, right?
I will not give you.
They traded for him in 07. They extended him in 08. That's my guess.
That is wrong. You
Damn it.
have completely blanked on the years of futility that led to them ultimately making moves like trading for Matt Holliday, which they did in 2009. And then extended him in 2010.
Okay.
Do you remember by chance who they traded for Matt Holliday? Now, this is an
remember.
This
Brett
is
Wallace
will. Yes.
Yeah, Brett Wallace will forever be in my brain.
The Thigh Master himself.
And Dan Herron, right? Brett Wallace and Dan Herron?
No, it was just straight up Brett Wallace, I believe.
It was just 1-for-1, really?
I'm almost certain, yes. Because at the time, Brett Wallace was a top prospect. Is one of those classic.
I thought that Dan Herron also went to the A's. Brett Wallace and Dan, I guess I'm wrong. That's amazing. What a trade. That trade is not talked about enough.
Let me look it up real quick. But I'm almost certain it was just a 1-to-1 because it was a classic sort of, they don't really happen anymore. Top prospect for half a season of an elite guy, you know?
Yeah. I loved Matt Holliday. That was so much fun.
Oh yeah. Forever still one of my favorite Cardinals and will forever be. So I am wrong, but you're also wrong. So I'll take a win on that one. The Cardinals traded Brett Wallace, Clayton Mortensen, and Shane Peterson.
Wow.
For
I remember the name Clayton Mortensen now that you say it,
yeah.
But that's all I got for you.
But it was certainly centered around Brett Wallace.
Right.
So Wallace, I was right. You were wrong.
Thy God.
Yep. All right. I got two more for you. Very recent, but still kind of hard to remember. How many players did the Cardinals send to the Rockies for Nolan Arenado, and how many of them can you name?
All right. It was, oh my God. I think it was 4 players. Oh my God. My brain is truly trash this morning. The starting pitcher, the big lefty that throws the curveball that gets his ass handed to him every time he goes out.
Still out there though.
Yeah, I can't think of his name right now, although I've watched him pitch last year for my Rockies.
Him pitch for his entire career.
Why can't I think of his name? Yeah, I can't think of it. And then I'll think of it. Let me distract myself with other names. Oh God, the first baseman, third baseman, kind of shorter Dominican player. These guys suck. And he has I was
pretty high
name.
on this guy. I thought he was going to be really good, and he showed flashes for the Rockies.
I think I didn't get enough sleep last night or something because I could pick this guy's face out in a lineup. I know. Montero? No.
Yeah, that's his last name.
It is?
That's his. I'll get
Montero is his last name. Okay.
Yeah, Elu Harris Montero. To keep this moving,
there we go.
Yeah.
There's Montero. Oh man, I really can't think of that starting pitcher. But I don't care enough to beat myself up. And who else? Wow.
Yeah.
Funny how these players just fall out of your brain. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else.
We're gonna wrap it up. It was Austin Gomber.
Thank you.
Elu Harris Montero, and then 3 other guys. So 5 total people.
Oh wow!
For Arenado, it was Mateo Heel or Gill, probably Heel, Tony Lochi, and Jake Summers. I remember Mateo and I remember Jake Summers. I do not remember Tony Locey.
I do not remember either of those guys.
Yeah. Last one for you. Same equation, but to the Diamondbacks for Paul Goldschmidt. So how many people did they trade and who was it?
Carson Kelly and Luke Weaver and Oh, it was like his name was like Adam Jones, or it was like, oh, damn. It was he was like a utility infielder that hit the ball hard, and that was about all he really did well. It was Adam. Oh man, Adam Young. Three players.
Andy Young.
Andy Young.
I'll give it to you. I would have just said Carson Kelly and Luke Weaver. I did not remember Andy Young. So they also technically traded, not technically, they did trade some 2009 a 2009 competitive balance pick. I'm sorry, 2019 competitive balance.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And Weaver and Kelly both still playing. The Diamondbacks got a far better return for 1 year of Paul Goldschmidt than the Rockies did for 4 years of Arenado. It hasn't quite worked out the way we hoped, but still a hilarious deal.
Still hilarious. Yeah. The fact that Arenado almost won an MVP for us is all you really need to know about that deal.
Yep. Okay, so that's going to do it. But I mean, that is, those are some huge acquisitions. And I didn't include some other ones. Lance Berkman, big offseason signing. Dexter Fowler didn't fully work out, but was a big deal. Cardinals have had some big time off seasons in the past. Almost all of those have been like going for it deals, though. This is our first off season with what I think is what I believe is a competitive and smart front office making a long-term decision off season.
Yes, sir.
So we'll see. The reality is probably a lot of these trades won't be able to be judged until a couple of years down the line. But we just don't know. So it's part of the fun of it. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. So hopefully you're having fun listening to this show while we have fun watching what the Cardinals do this offseason. And we'll be bringing it to you every week.
Nate, as long as I'm doing it with you, I'm already having fun.
You just made the feud so much worse. Now my reaction is fight.
Okay.
So we'll be back next week. Tell your friends, tell your family, leave us a review, join the Patreon, all of that at talkingaboutbirds.com. And until next week, let's go Cardinals.
Go Birds.